See, your people need you. They need you to show up. They need you to grow up. They need you to deliver. They need you to keep believing in them when they don't believe in themselves. Because my definition of leadership is affirming and validating the worth and potential in another person in so clear a way, they begin to see it in their own self. You guys have heard the story about my wife coming to a workshop at 30 years old. Her company, Verizon, sent her to a workshop on a book I wrote called This Ain't No Practice Life. They paid $50 for her to come to a workshop with me. And she sat in the back, real intense, took notes. She wasn't my wife, she wasn't my girlfriend, she was just a person. Taking notes, taking notes, taking notes. She would look at me, taking notes. Then she walked right up to me afterwards. She's like, I need to meet with you. And she was really pretty, so I'm like, sure, step over here. Like, I'm available right now. And here's what she said to me. Nobody's ever told me I have this kind of potential. Nobody's ever showed me how to activate my talent. Nobody's ever pushed me like this. Nobody's ever believed in me like this. That same girl that was selling cell phones for Verizon is now a health coach in Optavia. She's now writing her own books. Right? I even got her a coaching gig last year. An insurance company called in. They said, we want your wife to coach all the women. And I said, how much are you going to pay? They said, $50,000. I said, she'll take it. I got in trouble over that one. Here's my point. 30 years old, she had all that talent, all that potential. It just needed to be activated by somebody. And that somebody is a coach. I push her to reach her potential. She pushes me to be a better husband, to be a better father, to be a better friend, to enjoy our hard work that we've worked so hard for. We push each other. See, for you, your drive may not have been activated yet. You may have come to this, like, man, I got to go. But you have some emotions. See, when I think about emotions, here's what I'm thinking. There's certain emotions that keep people from going to the next level. You guys know what those emotions are? Let me show some to you. Fear. Face everything and rise. Face everything and run. See, when I'm afraid, I take more action. When I'm afraid, I push harder. When I experience fear, I move. At least 7 out of 10 people I coach contract. That means when they get afraid, they contract to places of comfort. They crouch down in fear. Habits of the top 1% when they're afraid, and don't think they don't get afraid too. They move. When in doubt, take an action. What is an action? Call somebody, email somebody, Facebook message somebody, follow up with somebody. If you don't have anybody to follow up with your current clients, follow up with your coaches, follow up with somebody. See, fear, when in doubt, take an action. What about embarrassment? See, some of you won't make a phone call or make a post because you're embarrassed. I love that. I don't like how I look on camera. I don't know if I can do a Facebook Live. How many of y'all have said that to yourself before? I don't want to be embarrassed. See, when I get embarrassed, I say, thank you, man, I owe you, because I got to get better. This is an emotion. What about this one? Envy. I have one simple concept. When you are jealous of another person, turn that envy into intrigue. What is he doing that I'm not doing? What is she doing that I'm not doing? Insecurity, just a sign of a lack of preparation. And I'm gonna finish on this one, rejection. When I was 25 years old, I thought I had met the woman I was supposed to marry. I said, God, that's what I thought. This is the person I'm supposed to marry. And I fell in love. So much so that I went and I borrowed $5,000 to get an engagement ring. I didn't have $5,000. I was a high school basketball coach making $24,000 a year. And between the time I bought the engagement ring and the time I was going to propose to this person that I thought I was supposed to marry, our relationship started to go downhill. And I started to push harder because I felt like I was losing something. And I didn't know what to do, so I called this person's best friend and I said, man, I don't know what to do. Can you give me some advice? And this person said, don't ask the question if you don't want to know the answer. And I'm a high D on a disc profile, so that made me want to ask even more. So I'm like, I'm asking right now. So I picked up the phone and I called my girlfriend at the time and I said, I got to meet with you right now. We met in my hometown. We sat at a restaurant, and on the way to the meeting, I stopped by and I got the engagement ring from the bank. And I walked into that meeting and I sit down and she looked at me and she said, Michael, I love you, but I don't love you enough to marry you. And I started crying and she started crying. And I reached in my pocket and I opened up that engagement ring and I said, this is how much I loved you. And we broke up that day. And I went into a deep depression. Couldn't get out of bed, couldn't eat, 6 months. I was a head coach, I had to pretend to be happy. I worked 18 to 20 hours a day just to fight through my feelings, just to try to make it. And it wasn't minute to minute, it was second to second. I couldn't go without 1 second about thinking about that. And I had to take that engagement ring back. And if you want a real lonely day in life, take an engagement ring back. It was one of the loneliest days of my life. And I took it into the jeweler, and the jeweler said, sir, why are you bringing this engagement ring back? And I'm like, I will punch you in the face right now in this jewelry store. And I don't even punch people, but I will. See, let me tell you how I felt. I felt rejected. I felt rejected. During that period, a friend came into my life and they said to me, there is no such thing as rejection. Here's what they said. Just because she doesn't want what you have to offer doesn't mean other people won't want what you have to offer. Yeah, that's right. See, there is no such thing as rejection. Some people will want this business. Some people won't want this business. If they don't want it, it's not rejection toward you. There is somebody out there who is looking for this. You're only looking for the people that are looking for you. And if you don't go out and share your message because of a fear of rejection, then you don't have enough conviction. So about 5 years later, I went through that process, obviously met the woman I was supposed to marry. And I went back to my hometown to speak to all the teachers. And guess who was sitting on the front row? That girl that broke my heart. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna have to use a PowerPoint for this one. And I put a picture up there and I said, man, I got such an incredible life. I got a beautiful wife. I got beautiful kids. I got my own private jet. Woo! And that girl just sat on the front row like this right here. You see, that woman was right that day when she told me there is no such thing as rejection. I want you to walk out of here today with a remarkable boldness about you. You are not afraid to share what you know could change another person's life. That is conviction, because there is no such thing as rejection. Now, I'll finish with this, the pro steps. Let's get our mind ready for what our body's about to do. Let's get our mind ready for what our body's about to do. We're going to embrace conflict, because on the other side of conflict is deeper intimacy with our potential. We're going to take daily action every single day. We're going to be consistent. We're going to live in the game. versus the gap. And we're gonna do exactly what my mama taught me when I was a little boy. We're gonna grow up, and we're gonna show up, and we're gonna deliver. And those are the habits of the pros. That is the top 1%.